Hello friends, I am Dr. Kamlakar Patil, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Botany, Sadguru Gadge Maharaj College, Karad. Today we will discuss in detail the types of tissues. So before we going to study the types of tissue, we know what is the tissue. The tissue is the group of cell having same origin and their similar function, which is called as tissue. The tissues is of two types, that is meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. The meristematic tissues are classified on the basis of their position, that is apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. The permanent tissues are classified into two types, that is simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues. These simple permanent tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And the complex permanent tissues are xylem and phloems. These xylem conduct the water elements and it consists of four different elements, that is vessels or tracheids, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. And the phloem tissue conduct the prepared organic food material and it consists four different elements, that is sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. We want to know the section of or anatomy or internal structure of the stem. Then the outer layer, which is epidermis, which is made up from epidermal layer. Inner to epidermis, that is hypodermis or cortex region, which is made up from simple permanent tissue, that is parenchyma cells, collenchyma cells, sclerenchyma cells, and middle part, that is central region, which is made up from xylem and phloem tissues. The types of tissues we will discuss in detail one by one. Now the meristematic tissue. So what is the meristematic tissue? The group of the cell possess power of cell division, that is the cell divide repeatedly and to form new cells, that is meristematic tissue. The meristematic tissue is classified on the basis of their position. The image showing that the longitudinal section of stem showing different types of meristem, that is apical meristem, which is also called as zone of cell division, intercalary meristem, which is also called as zone of elongation, and the lateral meristem, it is also known as zone of maturation. Now apical meristem. The apical meristem present at the regions or apices of main stem and lateral branches of stem, also in main roots and lateral branches of root. The apical meristem's position in the apices, so it is called apical meristem. The function of apical meristem is the adds the length or to increase the plant's length or its organ. Now intercalary meristem. The some portion of apical meristems separated from the apex and remain behind in the form of intercalary patches is in the permanent tissues. That is, the apical meristem divide repeatedly and to form new cells, and these new cells form new patches. It is nothing but the intercalary meristem. Due to intercalary position, they are called intercalary meristem. The function of intercalary meristem is also adds the length or to increase the plants and its organ. It is originate from apical meristem and it is short-lived. Now third one is the lateral meristem. The lateral meristem is laterally in the long axis parallel to the sides of the axis in dicots and gymnosperms. From their position, they are called lateral meristem. It increases the diameter of stem, that is girth of stem and branches of plant body. The cork cambium and vascular cambium are the example of lateral meristems. Now permanent tissue. So what is the permanent tissue? The group of cell acquired the permanent shape, size and function and they lost the power of cell division, which is called as permanent tissue. There are of two types, that is simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now simple permanent tissue. The simple permanent tissue, which is a group of similar type of cell resembling in shape, size, function and forms, which is called as simple tissues. Okay, these simple tissues are of three types, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. The parenchyma are the living cell tissue, Why it is called living cell? Because this cell possesses a nucleus, cytoplasm and vacuole. This cell consists of isodiametric cells. These cells are cell wall are oval or circular in shape. These cells are loosely arranged, therefore intercellular spaces are present. In most of the plant's parts, they made up from parenchyma cells. That is, for example, in fleshy and edible roots, in stems and in leaves. It is found in epidermis, hypodermis, cortex, pith region. It is simple primitive tissue from which another tissues are evolved. Therefore, the parenchyma cells is also called as fundamental tissue. The main function of parenchyma cells is storage of food material. In xerophytes, it store water. The parenchyma cells consist abundant chloroplast. It is called as chlorenchyma cells, and the function of chlorenchyma is photosynthesis. It is present in mesophyll of leaves and also in young stem cortex. In aquatic plants, the intercellular spaces between parenchyma cells are very large, and this is nothing but the erenchyma cells. The intercellular spaces store the air, and therefore the plant's organs are float in water. The parenchyma cells store the calcium oxalate crystals and raphides, which is also called as idioblast. The second type of living simple permanent tissue is collenchyma. It is like a parenchyma but differ in one character, that is cell wall. The cell wall are thick walled, unevenly thickened due to extra deposition of cellulose and pectin, and therefore the intercellular spaces are absent. The function of collenchyma cells is to give support, mechanical support and tensile strength to the plant organ. Now, third is sclerenchyma. It is a dead simple permanent tissue. During the differentiation process, the cell wall gradually lost the cytoplasm, and therefore there is a secondary wall thickening. This secondary wall thickening is mainly due to lignin, and therefore cell wall is thick. It exists in two forms, that is sclerites and fiber, or also called stone cells. The function of sclerenchyma cell is to give mechanical support and rigidity to the plant body. Now the complex tissues. The different types of cells perform the common function, which is known as complex tissues. In higher plant body, xylem and phloem tissues are important. The xylem and phloems are the vascular tissues. The main function of complex tissues is translocation of water and organic substances. Now xylem. The function of xylem is transport of water and minerals from upward to root to the leaves. In addition, it gives mechanical strength to the plant organ. There are four different elements, that is vessels or tracheids, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. The vessels or tracheids are dead, thick-walled, elongated, tube-like structure due to deposition of lignin. The thickening is pitted, annular, spiral and reticulate. The vessels or tracheids, the presence of vessels or tracheids are characteristic feature of angiosperm. It is absent in pteridophytes and gymnosperm. The tracheids are elongated, tubular, thick-walled with tapering ends and dead at maturity. The wall thickening on tracheids elements are pits or border pits. In most of the gymnosperm, the tracheids carry out conduction of water, and in angiosperm, tracheids along with vessels, they carry out water conduction. The xylem fibers are elongated, narrow, thick-walled, and it gives mechanical support. The xylem parenchyma, it is only living element in complex tissues, and the function of xylem parenchyma is to store and transfer the food material. The another kind of complex permanent tissue is phloem. The function of phloem is conduct prepared organic food material into different parts of the plant body. The sieve tubes with sieve cell elements are long pipe-like structure with living cell with layer of cytoplasm but without nucleus. The function of sieve tubes is food translocating elements. The companion cells are elongated living cell of phloem containing protoplasm and large nucleus. It is found in angiosperm only. The function of companion cell is transport of food along with sieve tube. The phloem parenchyma is found in association with sieve tubes and companion cell. The phloem parenchyma is absent in monocot. The function of phloem parenchyma is store food and help in transport of food. The phloem fibers are thick-walled dead elements in phloem tissues. It is also called the bast fibers, and the function of phloem fibers is mechanical strain to the soft phloem region. Now in the next lecture we will discuss the types of vascular bundle. Thank you.